Girl, remember in Baldur's Gate 3 when you're snooping around the Stormshore Tabernacle and you find that book, Tymora, Lady Luck? We're talking about the goddess of good fortune in the Forgotten Realms. Welcome back to Beauty and the Beholder. If it is your first time here, hi, hello, my name is Kiki and I am your lipstick-loving lore historian. Every week we hang out, we put on some makeup, and we talk about D&D lore. So if you love to gossip about fictional fantasy characters, I'm your girl. Let's get into it. Tymora is the goddess of good fortune and good luck. She essentially was birthed out of the split between the original goddess Tyche, who embodied both the good and bad sides of luck. If you want the whole origin story, the play-by-play on how Tyche became Tymora, that's in the Lathander Explained video, so definitely check that one out if you haven't already. Tyche is tricked, she's bamboozled, and she gets saved by 𝕻𝖗𝖈, the moon goddess. The only way to save Tyche is to split her into two entities. These two entities turn out to be Tymora and 𝕻𝖆𝖈, goddess of good luck and the goddess of bad luck. Tymora's portfolio is good fortune, but she's associated with skill, victory, adventurers, and just general adventuring, like having a good time, living your life, you know, that's Tymora. She's considered to be chaotic good, and her domain is trickery. She's called Lady Luck, the lady who smiles, our smiling lady of good fortune, the bright smiling lady, 𝕻𝖆𝖈's bright sister, Tyche's fair-haired daughter, Tyche's fair-tressed daughter, and Shalamora by halflings who worship her. Fun fact about her name, actually, Jeff Grubb, one of the Forgotten Realms authors, wanted to make sure that Tyche, since, you know, that's like a real goddess, they didn't want to offend any Wiccans or pagans who worship Tyche. Changed it to Tymora to, you know, stay respectful to the pagans, the witches. Girl, yes. We love to see respect. Now for Tyche's realm. Where does she live? What's her crib looking like? I'm thinking like Vegas, you know. Her original realm was Brightwater. Brightwater was this really nice plain where all the cool, pretty goddesses were hanging out. Lyra, Sune, Sharess, Tymora, and Joaquin. Basically a Barbie world. In Brightwater, Tymora lived in the Grand Casino, in the Hall of Chance. She truly was living up to her name as Lady Luck. The Hall of Chance was filled with petitioners playing all kinds of games, and of course games that involved chance. The streets that led to the hall were filled with gaudy, beautiful gold. There were gaudy gold statues of all different shapes along the pathway to the casino. I like to think that they described it as shapes because, like, big gold D20, that'd be so freaking cute. So alongside this great grand casino hall was a beautiful lush garden. It was said to be really chaotic though in the way that it was planted. It looks like somebody just threw a bunch of seeds everywhere and that's how everything grew. Still beautiful nonetheless. In this garden there were tons of different plants, mostly birch trees, which at night would be illuminated by fireflies, which I think is beautiful. After the spell plague is when she moved on to live in 𝕻𝖗𝖈's divine realm, which was the gates of the moon. Tymora lived within the Great Wheel, which is essentially like 7 different earth moats, all connected to by like lofty bridges, kind of like the lighthouse in Dragon Age: The Veil of Gorn, you know? Earth moats are floating pieces of land. A lot of the currently existing earth moats came about because of the spell plague. Now, what does Tymora look like? Before the time of troubles, she used to appear as a crafty, boyish, barefoot tomboy with brown hair. Fast forward to like the 1300s DR, she still appeared as a slender, short-haired woman, but she would dress a little more feminine. She would wear a short, white, satin gold-trimmed number with high brown leather boots. Yes, she's wearing the Chanel boots. Her head would be adorned with a silver coronet that glistened in the lights. But something changed when she survived basically this like foiled plot by 𝕻𝖑𝖆. You remember that guy? We talked about him in the Bane video. But basically, 𝕻𝖑𝖆 tried to get Tymora and 𝕻𝖆𝖈 to merge again into one person. It didn't work, and after that happened, she was like, okay, I'm at my breaking point. It's time to dye my hair. She let her hair grow out into this long, flowing blonde hair, and she started to wear a gold crown. She stepped into her power. She was like, I am indeed that bitch. She was said to have a regal face and blue-black eyes as well. Some of her tiefling followers said that they appeared to her in their image as well. To them, she appeared as a dark, devilish Lady of Fortune. Now, it's said that halflings of the realm portrayed Lady Luck as a rogue, specifically as a female halfling rogue. She definitely appears to people in their own image, which I think is really nice. You know, that's not something that a lot of the gods tend to do. Now, what was Tymora's personality like? She's said to be cheerful and basically inherited all the good parts of Tyche. She got all the good stuff. 𝕵𝖎𝖈 apparently got all the bad stuff. She was said to be cheerful and curious, graceful, kind. She didn't have any malice or vengeance in her. There wasn't a bad bone in her body, you know? Literally, because it apparently all went to 𝕵𝖎𝖈. She remained jovial and happy even in the darkest of times, but she was never rude or haughty or off-putting. When she was in battle, she would yell and whoop, really partying. She was living her life. She was very adventurous and well known for her antics. She was a prankster, like the Kathy Hilton of the group. She was very much a lover of practical jokes, so much so that she was known for constantly heckling and pranking some of the more stoic, justice-oriented deities like Helm and Tyr. She always preferred to deal ironic justice rather than violence upon her enemies, and she was known as being very flirty. We love that. We love a flirty girl. She was kind of known for her brief stints with people. This was something that she had in common with Tyche. Most of these relationships were just flings. Tymora was having her hot goddess summer, okay? She was also very generous with sharing her powers, which was in opposition to her sister. Tymora would empower a lot of items with magic. She would grant powers of luck to different adventurers, and even created like power keys for her followers to embark on different journeys throughout the planes. She would gladly lend her powers to other allied gods and their clerics too. So she was really passing it all out there. She's the one in the club that said, drinks are on me. She's a very nice woman. But this also meant that she kind of had less divine power reserved compared to her sister 𝕵𝖎𝖈, who was hoarding all of that divine energy. Tymora's symbol throughout the century has changed a lot. Her symbols included a featureless disc of silver, a triangle of silver shooting stars falling through the sky. Her most well-known symbol, though, of course, was a face-up silver coin with an image of her face surrounded by shamrocks, which is also the little symbol that you see in the Baldur's Gate 3 deity selection screen. In clerics would use pearls and coins as symbols of the goddess as well. But get this, this was considered like heretical nonsense from other Tymoran clerics in other cities, which is weird because it's like, that makes perfect sense to me, y'all. Unless there's like some sort of superstition or like some lore with coins and black pearls, like maybe with 𝕻𝖈, I don't know. But that makes perfect sense to me. Some animals she is associated with, because she would manifest as them when she visited Faerûn, would be silver birds or silver Pegasus. She sends these animals to help mortals, as well as 𝕻𝖗𝖈𝖈, fairy dragons, and unicorns. When she wants to show her favor for a particular gamer, she'll manifest as a silver glow about them, but it will only be visible to that person and not anybody else around them. Whenever this happens, they will most likely win, or some sort of evident luck will be granted to them. So they'll kind of know that it was Tymora, but without anybody else knowing. Who worships Tymora? Most of her worshippers tended to be adventurers, mostly people who relied on both luck and skill to achieve their goals and get ahead in life. Naturally, this includes adventurers, pirates, merchants, artisans, a lot of different people. Members of the Tymoran faith believe that one should be bold and trust in their own luck. Tymoran clergy often encourage people to pursue their dreams and go after what they wanted in life. Priests of Tymora were taught to think of themselves as their own master rather than being subservient to the goddess. They were encouraged to be brave enough to accept both good and bad luck. They were also duty-bound to help those in need by providing help or magical items, depending on what the scenario was. She was considered to be one of the travelers' gods, alongside Tempest and Joaquin. Her worship was really common in the Sea of Fallen Stars by those pirates, specifically the Cormyrian Free Sails. This was a group of privateers who protected Cormyr against Sahuagin attacks. Who would have thunk? You needed a whole team to do that. But it makes sense, actually, now that I remember us talking about Sahuagin in the 𝕻𝖈𝖙 video. That's scary. I would absolutely hire someone to protect me from that. Tymora's faith teaches that one should be bold, for to dare is to live. For to dare is to live. The battle cry of followers of Tymora is, "Fortune favors the bold." A brave heart and willingness to take risks beat out a carefully wrought plan 9 times out of 10. Fair, honestly. One must place oneself in the hands of fate and trust in one's own luck. Tymoran clergy are told that the lady's own luck never fails. This is actually kind of a quick tidbit, but I came across this one story that was written by Ed Greenwood. To paint the picture, it was 2004 Gen Con. They had a panel and they worked on a short story, and basically what came out of this short story was the night Tymora sneezed. Ended up getting published on the Wizards of the Coast website in 2005. The moral of the story is that even the goddess of luck doesn't always have good luck. I thought that was a really cool tidbit. I haven't finished reading it, but I can link it down in the description box below if you were curious. As a victim of misfortune, that means that she is deliberately testing them. Her clergy know this, but they try to like keep it on the DL so that it doesn't get out, so that people aren't just like always aware that Tymora is testing them, you know? Keep it a secret. Lady Luck bids that each mortal should chase his or her own goals, and it is in the chase that Lady Tymora aids. Those who have no direction or no goals shall soon quickly know the embrace of Lady 𝕵𝖎𝖕. So always have a little goal on your calendar. Another neat belief of the Tymoran faith is that luck plays a crucial role in every person's life. When each newborn baby enters the realms, Tymora flips a coin formed from the remnants of Tyche. 𝕵𝖎𝖕 calls it in the air, the moon, heads, or the cloak, tails. If 𝕵𝖎𝖕 is right, that person is cursed with misfortune. But if she's wrong, Tymora gets to smile upon that child for the rest of their days. For some rare beings, the coin can land on its side, and these luckless few can have the ability to forge their own fates, for they have more freedom in their destinies than the powers themselves. I thought that was really cool, and honestly, I feel like that could be an explanation for the lucky feet, you know? And that makes sense to me. Her clergy go around Faerûn, encouraging people to take risks, to be bold, basically just live out their lives, you know? It's like those reels that you see that are like, this is your sign to X, whatever. You know, Tymora, we caught you there. I know a Tymora worshiper when I see one, okay? They encourage people to not just spend all their days planning and not actually taking any action, but to just go out there and take that leap of faith, you know? What they don't do, however, is they don't encourage reckless behavior or engage in like whims. They're like, let your dreams be dreams, but don't get crazy, you know? That's why, oh my god, I'm gonna have to get this mascara out of here, y'all. There aren't really any set rituals for the Church of Tymora, but offerings made to the goddess were often accompanied by the prayer, "A copper to the lady returns tenfold in gold." And then a priest would answer, "𝕻𝖆𝖋𝖔 and the lady keep you." 𝕻𝖆𝖋𝖔, baby. I got this little circlet at the Renaissance Fair, so I need to wear it. I can't tell if it goes this way or the other way, but I kind of like it this way because it has my lace. Anyway, midsummer was the most important festival for Tymora. This was like a wild night of reveling, partying, reckless abandon, mischievous merriment, romantic escapades, just the best time, you know? One thing about Tymora is that she knew how to throw a party, okay? This was a time for Tymoran clergy to meet with the Harpers. Yeah, you remember the Harpers in Baldur's Gate 3? People of allied faiths and relatives were of course also welcome to this celebration. Midsummer was a good time for plans to be made, whether that was everyday things or for missions, escapades. The most holy festival of the Tymoran faith is called Starfall. This occurs on the 22nd day of Marpanath, closer to the end of the year. This is the date that's actually believed to be Tyche's death date / Beshaba and Tymora's birthday. This is a day where any clergy who have made significant strides or are going to be promoted do all those ceremonies. They get presented with tokens, the whole shebang. Custom that the Tymoran clergy also participate in is that of touching their coins together. They say to each other, "Life is short, live it as Tymora means it to be lived." That is in turn answered by, "Dare all and trust in the lady." In the lady, baby. Trust in the lady. Amen. When clergy members are closer to one another, they also say, "Defy," and then in response, the other person goes, "Dare much." Interesting. As for Tymora's temples, she was most famous in Cormyr. Basically, she's definitely a heroic deity in Cormyr because during the time of troubles, she protected the capital, Suzail, during that whole mess of a time. So the Cormyrian temples were extremely rich. Affiliated orders of Tymora include the Harpers, which I had no idea. I never even considered this connection. If you are unfamiliar with the Harpers, they are a secret society. They work for good throughout Faerûn, just like a hodgepodge of different classes, races, faiths, but they all work together towards the common good. You get to interact with them in Baldur's Gate 3, in Act 2 and Act 3. There's also a special fellowship of clergy known as the Fellows of Free Faith. They're also known as Triffs. They specifically dedicate themselves to countering Beshava's effort. Anything to do with Beshava, baby, they are not about it, okay? Do not even bring up her name in conversation. They will shut it down. The vestments of a Tymorian worshipper include blue and silver colors, which, hold on, I have a bone to pick. I feel like gold was not mentioned, and I feel like naturally I associate Tymora with gold. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Goddess of good luck and fortune. It's giving gold, it's giving red, it's giving dazzled. And as mentioned with the lore ritual, the common item is the disc of Tymora, which is usually carried on a small chain. Now, as for her relationships, we know her to be flirty, right? Many sages in the Forgotten Realms have claimed that she fostered many brief flings, as I like to call them, with good aligned male deities. So quite a number of them. They always end amicably, and typically it was ended because her attentions were drawn somewhere else. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go." But listen up, this is juicy. Shortly before the spell plague, Tyr and Ciamorph, she's a goddess of nobility, they were having a disagreement, as gods do. They had such a heated argument that Ciamorph left the House of the Triad to join Sune in Brightwater, where the cool girls live. She was like, "I'm done. I'm gonna go live my bachelorette life. Goodbye." Now, Tyr sent Helm as a messenger to Sune. So imagine this. This guy is sending his friend to go talk to her friend who lives with her now and vouch for him. Sune is like, "Okay, I'll try to help you. I'll try to make peace here." Sune, being the goddess of love, she's like, "You know what? Tyr, why don't you get with Tymora? That way you restore balance to the celestial planes. We just fill in that gap of power with Tymora." Tyr's like, "Okay, cool." And he began his formal courtship with Tymora. But Cyric plotted against this whole get-together. He was like, "This meet cute, not happening. I don't want it to happen." Rumors ended up getting to Tyr that Helm, the one who'd been, delivering the messages for him, don't shoot the messenger. The rumor was that Helm was shagging up with Tymora, when Tyr and Tymora are supposed to be getting together. Yeah, and even after Tyr and Tymora were supposed to be a thing, that's what the rumor said. You didn't hear it from me, okay? Keep it on the DL. Actually, no, tell everyone, Now, Tyr, being Tyr, he was like, "You know what? Women can't make their own decisions, especially goddesses. The only way to solve this is to duel." So Tyr challenges Helm to a duel. Oh my god. Helm was like, "Okay, let's do this." Helm was slain. Heartbroken because of this, Tymora left Brightwater She left to go be with Tyr out of duty. She felt bad. She was like, you know what? I need to fulfill my end of this agreement. That's also another reason why 𝕻𝖗𝖈 left the house of the Triad and ended up living with Sunè. Basically just a mishmash of different roommates going back and forth. It's like the messiest friends plotline ever. They're just all sleeping with each other, moving back and forth. It's a whole thing. Gods, you know? Aside from that, Tymora had a lot of friends. She was friends with Azuth, Baravar, Cloakshadow, Brandubarus, Dúgmarinn Brightmantle, Erevan Ilisere, Finder Wyvensper, Garl Glittergold, Hela Brightaxe, Hanali Selenel, Lathander, Lyra, Martha Morduin, Selûne, Shondacol, Sunè, and Vergadain were all her allies. Now, Finder Wyvensper, somebody actually requested this a few weeks ago. Finder's a very interesting character. Finder was one of Tymora's closest followers and allies. She helped him reach godhood, which helped him slay Moander. Their friendship is pretty cute because he's kind of known as the god of reckless fools, which Tymora seems to appreciate. Tymora was also really, really close with Selûne, who of course is responsible for bringing her into this world. Not so much a mother-daughter relationship, but they're definitely close friends. She invited Tymora to live with her when Tyr broke her heart. She invited her to live in her realm, the Gates of the Moon. She also had a great relationship with Brandubarus, the halfling deity of trickery, and they had like a little clique. It was Brandubarus, Tymora, Erevan Ilisere, the elven god of mischief and rogues, and Garl Glittergold, one of the gnomish gods. Each of them and Tymora had like their little clique of mischief pranksters. But we just love a silly, goofy gal. We love a prankster girl. They did sometimes get on the nerves of some of the more serious gods, though. Now for Tymora's enemies. Op number 1, 𝕵𝖆𝖈. Like, hello, sibling rivalry you saw with Shar and Selûne. Now it's Tymora and 𝕵𝖆𝖈. They were total opposites of each other. She also didn't like Bane and Moander. Now as for some character inspiration, most of her worshippers do tend to be humans or halflings, but like we said, she can show up to any race in their form. So tieflings, half-elves, Aasimar, like anything you can think of, I think would work well for a Tymora worshipping character. Some backgrounds for every one of these videos in Acolyte always makes sense. What would really work well here are gamblers, entertainers, maybe little swindlers, charlatans. I love playing charlatans. I realized that has been 2 out of 3 of my D&D characters were some sort of like charlatan swindler, you know? And my first Baldur's Gate character, actually. Oh my god, actually, I didn't know anything about Tymora, but I knew that my character was gonna be a little gold hoarder, and that's why I picked Tymora. Wow, throwback. Entertainers and folk heroes would work really well here too. Anything that gives big luck energy, right? Some classes, Cleric of Trickery or Cleric of Light would work well. Rogue, Bard. I feel like any kind of showbiz shenanigans, perfect. Some roleplay ideas, quirks, flaws could include your character never plans anything and leaves everything to chance, to fate, to luck, to Tymora, you know? They just kind of go in and do what they want to do. Sometimes not the best idea, but it's up to Tymora. You gotta trust in Tymora. Maybe they have a lucky object that is very near and dear to them. You could pick something that is their lucky symbol. Maybe they are never one to turn down a game. Maybe they know that they're really good at games. Instead of like fighting, maybe they're like, you know what? You, me, lance board, chess, checkers, guess who? Tymora is a fascinating deity. She is the essence of Dungeons and Dragons. Like, when you roll a d20, that's basically calling upon Tymora. She is the patron of adventurers. She's here for all of us, you know? She's a real one. She's the divine embodiment of taking risks, being bold, putting yourself out there, basically. Her presence in D&D lore reinforces the core idea of this game. Fortune favors the bold. It is much more exciting when you go out there and just try things, you know? And she loves to have a laugh. She's a representation of what makes D&D fun. Just seeing where a roll of dice takes you. What do you think of Lady Luck? I would love to hear your stories about the campaigns with Tymora if you have played a Tymora worshipping character, and any other lore topics that you want to hear about, or any topic for that matter, go to MegCon Orlando. If you're there, say hi. Hopefully I'll have all my Baldur's Gate cosplays done by then. I bought a Shadow Heart. I'm working on a Minthara and a Withers one. That will also be Alistair from Hazbin Hotel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and sign up for notifications. That way, if I post a video on your topic, you are the first to get notified. Thank you so much for watching. I had a great time, and ciao!